The Seven Dials Mystery, Chapter 23. Superintendent Battle in Charge. It was 10 o'clock on the following morning. The sun poured in through the windows of the library, where Superintendent Battle had been at work since 6. On a summons from him, George Lomax, Sir Oswald Coote, and Jimmy Thesiger had just joined him. Having repaired the fatigues of the night with a substantial breakfast, Jimmy's arm was in a sling, but he bore little other trace of the night's affray. The superintendent eyed all three of them benevolently, somewhat with the air of a kindly curator explaining a museum to little boys. On the table beside him were various objects, neatly labeled. Amongst them, Jimmy recognized Leopold. "Ah, Superintendent," said George, "I have been anxious to know how you have progressed. Have you caught the man? He'll take a lot of catching." "He will," said the superintendent easily. His failure in that respect did not appear to rankle with him. George Lomax did not look particularly well pleased. He detested levity of any kind. "I've got everything taped out pretty clearly," went on the detective. He took up 2 objects from the table. "Here we've got the 2 bullets. The largest is a .455 fired from Mr. Thesiger's Colt automatic. Grazed the window sash, and I found it embedded in the trunk of that cedar tree. This little fellow was fired from the Mauser. 25, after passing through Mr. Thesiger's arm, it embedded itself in this armchair here. As for the pistol itself, well," said Sir Oswald eagerly, "any fingerprints?" Battle shook his head. "The man who handled it wore gloves," he said slowly. "A pity," said Sir Oswald. "A man who knew his business would wear gloves. Am I right in thinking, Sir Oswald, that you found this pistol just about 20 yards from the bottom of the steps leading up to the terrace?" Oswald stepped to the window. "Yes, almost exactly, I should say. I don't want to find fault, but it would have been wiser on your part, sir, to leave it exactly as you found it." "I am sorry," said Sir Oswald stiffly. "Oh, it doesn't matter. I've been able to reconstruct things. There were your footprints, you see, leading up from the bottom of the garden, in a place where you had obviously stopped and stooped down, and a kind of dent in the grass which was highly suggestive. By the way, what was your theory of the pistol being there?" "I presume that it had been dropped by the man in his flight." Battle shook his head. "Not dropped, Sir Oswald. There are 2 points against that. To begin with, there is only one set of footprints crossing the lawn just there, your own." "I see," said Sir Oswald thoughtfully. "Can you be sure of that, Battle?" put in George. "Quite sure, sir." "There is one other set of tracks crossing the lawn, Miss Wades, but they are a good deal farther to the left." He paused and then went on. "And there's the dent in the ground. The pistol must have struck the ground with some force. It all points to its having been thrown." "Well, why not?" said Sir Oswald. "Say the man fled down the path to the left. He'd leave no footprints on the path, and he'd hurl the pistol away from him into the middle of the lawn, a Lomax." George agreed by a nod of the head. "It's true that he'd leave no footprints on the path," said Battle, "but from the shape of the dent, and the way the turf was cut, I don't think the pistol was thrown from that direction. I think it was thrown from the terrace here." "Very likely," said Sir Oswald. "Does it matter, Superintendent?" "Ah, yes, Battle," broke in George. "Is it, strictly relevant?" "Perhaps not, Mr. Lomax, but we like to get things just so you know. I wonder now if one of you gentlemen would take this pistol and throw it. Will you, Sir Oswald? That's very kind. Stand just here in the window. Now fling it into the middle of the lawn." Sir Oswald complied, sending the pistol flying through the air with a powerful sweep of his arm. Jimmy Thesiger drew near with breathless interest. The superintendent lumbered off after it like a well-trained retriever. He reappeared with a beaming face. "That's it, sir, just the same kind of mark. Although, by the way, you sent it a good 10 yards farther. But then, you're a very powerfully built man, aren't you, Sir Oswald? Excuse me, I thought I heard someone at the door." The superintendent's ears must have been very much sharper than anyone else's. Nobody else had heard a sound, but Battle was proved right, for Lady Coote stood outside, a medicine glass in her hand. "Your medicine, Oswald," she said, advancing into the room. "Forgot it after breakfast?" "I'm very busy, Maria," said Sir Oswald. "I don't want my medicine." "You would never take it if it wasn't for me," said his wife serenely, advancing upon him. "You're just like a naughty little boy. Drink it up now." Meekly obediently, the great steel magnate drank it up. Lady Coote smiled sadly and sweetly at everyone. "Am I interrupting you? Are you very busy? Oh, look at those revolvers. Nasty, noisy, murdering things. To think, Oswald, that you might have been shot by the burglar last night." You must have been alarmed when you found he was missing, Lady Coote, said Battle. I didn't think of it at first, confessed Lady Coote. This poor boy here, she indicated Jimmy being shot and everything so dreadful, but so exciting. It wasn't until Mr. Bateman asked me where Sir Oswald was that I remembered he'd gone out half an hour before for a stroll. Sleepless, eh, Sir Oswald? asked Battle. I am usually an excellent sleeper, said Sir Oswald. But I must confess that last night I felt unusually restless. I thought the night air would do me good. You came out through this window, I suppose. Was it his fancy, or did Sir Oswald hesitate for a moment before replying, yes? In your pumps, too, said Lady Coote, instead of putting thick shoes on. What would you do without me to look after you? She shook her head sadly. I think, Maria, if you don't mind leaving us, we have still a lot to discuss. I know, dear, I'm just going. Lady Coote withdrew, carrying the empty medicine glass, as though it were a goblet out of which she had just administered a death potion. Well, Battle, said George Lomax. It all seems clear enough? Yes, perfectly clear. The man fires a shot, disabling Mr. Thesiger, flings away the weapon, runs along the terrace, and down the gravel path. Where he ought to have been caught by my men, put in Battle. Your men, if I may say so. Battle seemed to have been singularly remiss. They didn't see Miss Wade come in. If they could miss her coming in, they could easily miss the thief going out. Superintendent Battle opened his mouth to speak, then seemed to think better of it. Jimmy Thesiger looked at him curiously. He would have given a lot to know just what was in Superintendent Battle's mind. Must have been a champion runner, was all the Scotland Yard man contented himself with saying. How do you mean, Battle? Just what I say, Mr. Lomax. I was round the corner of the terrace myself not 50 seconds after the shot was fired. And for a man to run all that distance towards me and get round the corner of the path before I appeared round the side of the house. Well, as I say, he must have been a champion runner. I am at a loss to understand you, Battle. You have some idea of your own which I have not yet grasped. You say the man did not go across the lawn, and now you hint. What exactly do you hint? The man did not go down the path. Then in your opinion, where did he go? For answer, Superintendent Battle jerked an eloquent thumb upwards. A, said George. The superintendent jerked harder than ever. George raised his head and looked at the ceiling. Up there, said Battle. Up the ivy again. Nonsense, Superintendent. What you are suggesting is impossible. Not at all impossible, sir. He'd done it once. He could do it twice. I don't mean impossible in that sense. But if the man wanted to escape, he'd never bolt back into the house. Safest place for him, Mr. Lomax. But Mr. O'Rourke's door was still locked on the inside when we came to him. And how did you get to him? Through Sir Stanley's room. That's the way our man went. Lady Eileen tells me she saw the doorknob of Mr. O'Rourke's door move. That was when our friend was up there the first time. I suspect the key was under Mr. O'Rourke's pillow, but his exit is clear enough the second time, through the communicating door and through Sir Stanley's room, which of course was empty. Like everyone else, Sir Stanley is rushing downstairs to the library. Our man's got a clear course, and where did he go then? Superintendent Battle shrugged his burly shoulders and became evasive. Plenty of ways open. Into an empty room on the other side of the house, and down the ivy again, out through a side door, or just possibly, if it was an inside job. He, well, stayed in the house. George looked at him in shocked surprise. Really, Battle, I should feel it very deeply if one of my servants, I have the most perfect reliance on them. It would distress me very much to have to suspect. Nobody's asking you to suspect anyone, Mr. Lomax. I'm just putting all the possibilities before you. The servants may be all right, probably are. You have disturbed me, said George. You have disturbed me greatly. His eyes appeared more protuberant than ever. To distract him, Jimmy poked delicately at a curious blackened object on the table. What's this? He asked. That's Exhibit Z, said Battle. The last of our little lot. It is, or rather it has been, a glove. He picked it up, the charred relic, and manipulated it with pride. Where did you find it? Asked Sir Oswald. Battle jerked his head over his shoulder. In the grate, nearly burnt, but not quite. Queer, looks as though it had been chewed by a dog. It might possibly be Miss Wade's, suggested Jimmy. She has several dogs. The superintendent shook his head. This isn't a lady's glove. No, not even the large kind of loose glove ladies wear nowadays. Fit it on, sir. A moment. He adjusted the blackened object over Jimmy's hand. You see, it's large even for you. Do you attach importance to this discovery? Inquired Sir Oswald coldly. You never know, Sir Oswald, what's going to be important or what isn't. There was a sharp tap at the door and Bundle entered. I'm so sorry, she said apologetically, but Father has just rung up. He says I must come home because everybody is worrying him. She paused. Yes, my dear Eileen, said George encouragingly, perceiving that there was more to come. I wouldn't have interrupted you, only that I thought it might perhaps have something to do with all this. See, what has upset Father is that one of our footmen is missing. He went out last night and hasn't come back. What is the man's name? It was Sir Oswald who took up the cross-examination. John Bower. Oh, an Englishman. I believe he calls himself a Swiss, but I think he's a German. He speaks English perfectly, though. Ah, Sir Oswald drew in his breath with a long, satisfied hiss. And he has been at Chimneys how long? Just under a month. Sir Oswald turned to the other two. Here is our missing man. You know, Lomax, as well as I do, that several foreign governments are after the thing? I remember the man now perfectly. Tall, well-drilled fellow. Came about a fortnight before we left. A clever move. Any new servants here would be closely scrutinized, but at Chimneys, 5 miles away, he did not finish the sentence. You think the plan was laid so long beforehand? Why not? There are millions in that formula, Lomax. Doubtless Bower hoped to get access to my private papers at Chimneys, and to learn something of forthcoming arrangements from them. It seems likely that he may have had an accomplice in this house, someone who put him wise to the lie of the land, and who saw to the doping of O'Rourke. But Bower was the man Miss Wade saw climbing down the ivy, the big, powerful man. He turned to Superintendent Battle. Bower was your man, Superintendent, and somehow or other you let him slip through your fingers.